I am resident of Culver for YouTube. Jules Sains. This is my buddy Gordon Dymowski. This is my buddy Alan Gallant. This is my buddy Daniel Culver. Hopefully Patrick will join us later. We are here to review a documentary that Patrick selected for us for our horror movie marathon, if you will, the Blackout experiment, which just takes real people and experiments with them. Um, Gordon, when did you see this and what did you think, dude?
I first saw it today, and before I talk about what I thought of this film, Jewel, I want to ask you because you host this podcast, and I want to respect your leadership. So I want to give you a choice. Would you like me to be tactful and diplomatic about this movie, or do you want me to be blunt and brutal?
However you want to do it, whatever.
Okay, I'm going for blunt and brutal. I hated this film. I absolutely despise this film. Um, It is a film that does not really make itself clear that, yes, it is a documentary. I also, and we'll get deeper into the conversation, but the idea of, for those who don't know, this is about Blackout, which is basically, you can either see it as an extreme haunted house type of experience or immersive art. And it's about people who participate. And I really never thought the movie, I was trying to figure out what point the movie was trying to make because it follows some people who are in it, but it also tries to interview the two guys who run Blackout, who seem to be we're not going to show any of our secrets. We're not going to tell you anything about it, but they put these people through hell. And I kind of Um, I mean, towards the end, I felt angry because their attitude towards the end in their interview is basically, "Oh yeah, we do this to try to get people to have an extreme experience." And it's like haunted house, at least there's safety and there's some understanding. But like here, they're showing people getting waterboarded. So, um, I kind of wish Patrick were here, and I know he's had connection issues because I'd like to be able to say this to him, but no, just I would rather see watch Halloween Ends than this movie. And Jewel, that is not a dare. Okay, I take your word for it, but that's how strongly I feel.
Yeah. Alan, when did you see this and what did you think?
Today. And yeah, it's almost like, parts of it want to be like Blair Witch, and parts of it are documentary type things, and so it's got a split personality that way. Um, I tend to shy away from this kind of sadistic kind of stuff, which is because it is a documentary. You're talking about real sadism here, and that's what I think these guys are into. I think they're into really causing terror for these people, not giving them an experience. That's just the attitude I see. So, although escape room is an interesting thing, I'm also not the kind of a person that would do an escape room, and this is kind of a you know horrified, glorified escape room kind of stuff. Um, and it's just not my cup of tea in terms of Halloween or horror or any of that sort of thing. It's nothing that I would want to put anybody I cared about through, and I certainly wouldn't want to go through it myself. So it has a sort of has a visceral effect of no. And in terms of that feeling, that's great, except it's not really fictional. It's, in terms of the experience that these people have, that's not fictional. So yeah, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. No, that's my emotional reaction to it. Uh, you know, and in other ways, it's like it's fascinating to listen to these people justify this stuff and talk about it. And but that's about as far as I can go with it because
Mhm.
it's I have no interest in experiencing anything like that. So
Uh, Daniel, when did you see this and what did you think, dude?
Oh, I actually just saw this today, and yeah, I hate to admit this, but I didn't know it was a documentary until Gordon actually told us. But yeah, like that makes it problematic, like Alan was saying, because yeah, like I will admit I actually liked it, but then when I found it was a documentary, it's like, wait, that's kind of messed up, that all this happened, because it's like, because I assumed I was watching this fictional movie, and but yeah, it turns out, this is a documentary, so it's like, like he said, this these were real people, like, and they try to justify it's like, see, if it was a fictional movie, this would be a great concept, but the fact this was a documentary, it's fucked up.
Mhm.
um, there's also two movies. You may have watched the other one. I started to watch it. It's also called The Blackout Experiment, and that one is a movie.
Oh, that could be. I did see, like, there was one with this did have a scene with like waterboarding in it though.
Okay, then you saw the right one. Yep,
Yeah.
you saw the right one.
Yeah, 'cause I
Yep.
think one is to experiment, the other is experiments.
Yes. Yep.
That's pretty
And
weird.
yeah, and
Yep.
yeah, and it's
I didn't like either one of them because I watched part of the other one too.
well, I just saw the one that was a document, the
Yeah.
experiments, which was a documentary.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm sure
That
if
was a
Patrick were here, he'd probably say, "Oh, you watched the wrong one, it should be the experiment." But um we were
I don't
talking.
think so because we talked about it being a documentary.
Oh,
So
okay. So
yeah, I think that no, you're on track. You're on track.
okay. And we were talking before recording, and there's a similar movie that came out, I think around the same time, maybe a year or two later, called The Belko Experiment.
Yes.
And it's based on the infamous Milgram experiment, and it's a similar premise. It's a bunch of people in an office building. The office building's closed off, and there's a voice on the intercom saying, "Okay, um, okay, not everyone's going to leave. So we want to have, okay, one half of you is going to have to kill the other half. And if you decide to run, you're going to get shot. If you decide to save people, you're going to get shot." And it does a better job of this idea of sheer terror because one, it's fiction, but two, the idea is about the people dealing with, okay, in that situation, like, could I, if I'm trying to decide if my surviving means murdering anyone in this Zoom room with for no reason, could I do it? And I can honestly answer no. I would not murder anyone in the Zoom room.
Yeah, but
Um,
that kind of movie articulates more clearly than this documentary did
mhm.
the whole psychology behind all of that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing that really got me, and this is kind of a kind of gonna get a little personal, but like as someone who had to, this movie deals a lot with trauma, both inflicting trauma, and it's trying to suggest that by deliberately inflicting this trauma, um, the guys who run Blackout are helping these people to move on with their lives, even to the point where there's final ones where two of them are told, "Don't come back to us ever again."
Hmm.
Um, as someone who went through a prolonged period of personal trauma where after, my mom passed after a long illness, and then, um, and get a shovel, Jewel, because this is going to get deep. Um, between having m my apartment building, you know, bought out along with five others in the same neighborhood, with 126 people getting their leases terminated for no reason, legal but no reason, having to organize to kind of get something out of it, and then during that time being harassed, being, not just by property management staff, but like because we're in the news, people deciding, hey, they're going to come at me privately and, say, oh, why don't you just move? Why don't you shut up? That kind of thing.
Hmm.
In the grand scheme of things, it might not be, for a lot of people, it might not be major, but the way that I got through that was by doing things like going to therapy, going to doing what I needed to do to move past that.
Mhm.
And I think the idea that somehow um, that that the two men who run Blackout kind of have this idea that, well, you don't have to engage in it, but we're trying to help people have a significant event. It's like that to me, and they just come across at the end as just very cold, very much they don't get it, and it's kind of
Well,
where.
yeah, that's why I think they're closet sadists.
Mhm.
You
And
know, because
it's even mentioned at the beginning, somebody mentions like, oh yeah, I think they're sadistic. Um, and it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know if they're still in business. I hope they're not. But it's just that attitude of, you know, um, this could have been a very interesting, I think there's an interesting documentary about the kind of people who seek these kind of experiences out to move forward. I think that would be interesting. And
yeah,
also, even if it's just like, why do people see horror movies? I mean, there's a ton of the documentaries like that out there, but I think there's something in that. This really feels like it feels like a bad ripoff of Saw. Um, it just feels very violating, and it's like there's these setups where, oh, whoa, you're a survivor. You're going to form a special survivor group, and then they just do the same thing again to them, and it's
right,
just
right.
like, why? And
Yeah.
that's where I just said, again, I wish Patrick were here because I could tell him that this was a bad choice. Um, and I'm sorry. Jewel, let me skip to the end. When you ask, how many out of 10, I give this one a 1, and that's being generous.
Well, before I give my thoughts about this documentary, I do have a couple questions for you. Okay, how many people here have been to a haunted, sort of where you go where people scare you on purpose, but you have to sign a waiver?
That's a haunted house. Like
Well,
we've got
well,
them down
hold
here.
on,
Yeah.
hold on. Where you sign a waiver where they could touch you?
Oh,
No,
they're actually.
Nope.
Yeah,
no
I've actually.
touch. I actually worked Halloween Horror Nights back in the day, and you couldn't touch anybody, and they
Well,
weren't supposed to touch you either.
okay, well, back in the day, um, and I'm not defending this documentary. I'll get into my other question. Back in the day, down in Pittsburgh, near old Three Rivers Stadium, they had Three Rivers Fright Fest, is what
Sure.
it was called in the
Yeah.
pirate. And to do that, you did have to sign, hey, because they could touch you. Now, they couldn't punch you, they couldn't hurt you, but they could grab you and
Yeah.
grab your arm or something like that. You had to sign a waiver that they were allowed to touch you.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked that. And there are things this movie, sorry, documentary reminds it from a movie standpoint. It did remind me of Saw, but it also reminded me of the movie. I don't know how many guys have seen it, Escape Room.
Hmm.
Because there is a movie called Escape Room. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I've heard of it.
No.
yeah,
Heard of it, and I haven't seen it, but yeah.
yeah, it's kind of kind of similar, kind of not. But what this really reminded me of in a weird fucking way, not a movie, but a real life sort of occurrence that's going on. It's called the Smiley Face Killers, where now the difference being that it's not people with schizophrenic fears or whatever being willingly going into a place. It's these popular college students getting kidnapped and drowning somehow, we'll say. Um, Now, this documentary, did I like it? No, because I more thought the route they were going to go was maybe they were going to get into, because these people do explain why they're doing this, not just the people who are doing it, but the other people who are signing up willingly. Um, I just think this was senseless. At the end of the day, this was one of the most senseless
Hmm.
things I've ever seen, and I try to be open minded about anything in general, especially when it's a documentary. But when you take real people who have issues, there's other things you can do to get over your issues. It's called therapy. It's more than mentioned. I've myself have gone to therapy many times over
Hmm.
the course of my life. So But
Professional help, and I've been through it too. And
yeah,
I consider the work of professionals to be just that. And I don't consider this whatever they're claiming to be able to do. It's not professional.
right.
Yes.
It's not.
It, it,
I mean, they may be professional, scary,
yeah,
scare people, but not
Mhm.
professional
Yeah,
therapists.
I mean, yeah, and to Jules' point, like I get why people go to haunted houses.
Mhm.
You want to be scared. People get that release. It's that okay, you're on that, and it's like that kick of adrenaline. It's why Jewel, you like wrestling. It's like part of the way it's entertaining, but part of it is kind of cathartic.
yeah,
You see your favorite wrestler win, you see your least favorite heel lose, you get it. There's a kind of catharsis here. And Jewel, you stuck the nail right on the head. It's it sounds there's no purpose to it. It feels like you've just kind of gone, I think there's an interesting documentary about the people who went through this, where
yeah,
it's like, okay, what did they get out of it? And then you just kind of go, okay, you accept that Blacklist does this for some reason. And maybe it's about, okay, well, I did this because I needed to face this fear and I didn't realize I needed to face it until I went through this process. But this, and I don't think it's the director's fault. I think it's the guys from Blacklist who are like basically jerking him around. It's like, oh, you can't ask us any questions, but you can film us doing backstage stuff. It's like, no, if you're doing this to people, the question the viewer's going to ask is why,
yeah,
and why should we care? And the people you can kind of care about, but the way that this is structured and the way that just some of the things that happen, you kind of go, why is this movie here?
Yeah, I think you might be able to get more information, like you say, if the focus was shifted to the people that were actually experiencing it more rather than just depicting them
Hmm.
experiencing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
yeah,
yeah. I
And
think
I
actually,
agree with that.
okay.
what's
Oh, and
that?
actually, oh yeah, Jewel, you were mentioning haunted houses. I actually thought you were going to mention McCamey Manor because this is more like that, like because there's really fucked up haunted house where they can basically torture you. I think it's been shut down a few times actually.
Hmm.
Probably.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. They tried to obviously you're supposed to you sign a waiver of course, like Jules said. But the thing about this one is it's 77 pages long, and I guess the owner gets annoyed if you take your time reading it, because he really wants you to sign it.
Hmm.
There's a rumor though that he doesn't actually have the money, and that's why no one has actually. Because oh yeah, that's the thing I forgot to mention. No one has actually ever finished this completely, and no one knows how long it is. Like someone made it to the point where it was rumored to be the end, but then he actually wanted to continue, but he was a Marine. But the owner said no, he wasn't able to compete, but never explained why. But it's also crazy is in this haunted house, yeah, they can touch you, but if you touch the employees, you automatically just get disqualified. Yeah, I wouldn't have made it. I would have punched someone in the face. So.
Yeah, the Universal Halloween Horror Nights, you're not supposed to touch anybody. You just jump scare people or atmosphere scare people,
Hmm.
doing various things. And they usually have, like, oh, I don't know, 6 or 7 different houses. In other words, these pass through points that you can go through that have different themes. And I used to work a couple of those. And once in a while, now it never happened to me, but once in a while, some guy go through there was half in the bag with his girlfriend and take a swing at people because, you know, he if you don't like to be scared, dude, don't come through. It's like, but that's kind of, I mean, that's tame compared to this stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
really tame compared to this stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think the McCamey Manor has a documentary too. I think it's on Hulu though. I don't remember what it's called though, but you can probably find it pretty easily. But yeah, oh yeah,
Probably
for
find it.
anyone
Yeah.
wondering, for
Yeah.
anyone wondering, yes, Tubi does actually say this is a documentary, but I wasn't paying attention when I watched it.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
I think it's tough too because the way it initially starts, it would be easy to think that this was not a documentary.
Sure.
Oh, that's true.
So and that's I think also why I kind of really reacted poorly to this movie because usually I don't mind if a documentary takes risks in how it's shot. In fact, one of my favorite documentary directors is a gentleman by the name of Alex Gibney, he did The Smartest Men in the Room about Enron. He did a documentary about Lance Armstrong. He did Going Clear about Scientology, and he does like your traditional talking head um, and narration,
Documentary.
but he does it in a way where you're kind of clear that yeah, this is a direction we're heading into. Here, it really does feel like almost like the beginning of a narrative, and it's not until they keep saying, well, they won't interview us for the documentary where it's like you're reminded of that. And it's just like, I think there's a better way to have directed this, but I think I know where they were going for. Again, it seems like this weird kind of, do we want to go in the direction of these people who are going through these intense experiences, or do we want to talk about this kind of really, really kind of severe extreme experience that's more than a haunted house? And it never quite, and it never kind of makes a decision which way to go. And the fact that, the runners of Blackout are not wanting to be interviewed until the very end really kind
That
of
may have something to do with why it was so disjointed too,
Mhm.
that they did not have that liberty until they decided and probably decided what questions they wanted to answer and all of that sort of thing. I mean, this is a topic with a great deal of potential, as we've
Mhm.
discussed, and you've been talking about as well. It just, like you say, it was diffuse and probably focused on the wrong things or not enough of the right things, I guess is probably the better way to put it.
To a degree, another thing that was a little show called Fear Factor.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
It
heard to
had
bring that
that
back.
it had that sort of kind of vibe to it because you had these people who were putting on that list what their issues were and all that shit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
apparently,
so those people knew that.
yeah, apparently they're bringing that back with Steve-O as the host.
Yeah, as
Uh,
somebody that's experienced therapy, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, people get paid money. They didn't pay to have it done on things like Fear Factor. They got paid to do that. That's a different choice that you're making
Uh,
there.
it's good for you.
But yeah, so either way, I'm not a great fan of,
Yeah. Yeah, I would only go on Fear Factor if they allowed me to confront my fear of eating steak and mashed potatoes.
That's right.
Maybe baked potatoes. Yeah, I am afraid of those, man. Give me
I'm
all
oh
the
yeah,
money, I will face that
terrified.
fear. And Jewel has to come with me.
I'll come with you and help you eat the steak and potatoes.
That's right.
Oh, well,
Um,
you'd be joining me for dinner. It'd be like you'd be it would be like, hey, free steak dinner.
yes,
See,
yes,
we know how to
I,
work the system.
That's right.
yes, absolutely. I think too with this movie, something I more wanted to see from the documentary standpoint when they're I wish the director would have pressed them during the whole scene, not at the end,
Yes. Yeah.
during
Mhm.
the events. Like press the people who were doing this, like, hey, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, explain this. Explain
yeah,
what you're doing now in the
yeah,
moment. Yeah.
that would have made a more interesting documentary of this because it's like, and then have the director contemplate, well, do I get they signed this, but do we call the police? Because this is ridiculous.
Mm.
You know?
Or even with that waiver, because I know they mentioned, oh,
Yeah,
you can't sue. Like, okay, let's break this down. Here's a clause about, you can't sue, and like, there are things in this contract. What do you think you're doing? Especially since they're collecting personal information, which is another huge red flag. And
Mhm.
the other thing that surprises me about our conversation is this is the first time Jewel and I have agreed twice in the same conversation. I mean,
Oh, wow.
for those of you watching, first, like, share, and subscribe. But secondly, understand, Jewel and I, we maybe every once in a while kind of touch on the same thing. We're kind of in the same. But for us to agree twice, that's a miracle. Okay? That is wonderful. That's the power of Resident of Collinwood. That's why you should be watching these videos when they come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And pay Gordon to eat a steak dinner.
Yes,
Mhm.
in total abject terror.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be like, oh, is this well done?
Oh, it's
Or
too
is this
delicious.
medium well?
Yes.
Oh, it's not pink. Oh, it's too pink. Oh, let me.
Yes.
Oh, do I put the A1 sauce on it?
Right. Oh my God! Look at how it's flowing onto the steak.
Oh, hey.
I give this movie a -5. Documentary. A
Yes.
-5. They're just that's crazy.
I'm going to be a little bit less severe because of its potential. And I think that if they did a redo, it might be something very good.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 5.
There you go. Daniel,
I'll give it a 2.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm overly generous tonight. I don't know why, but here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's funny because I'm usually the opposite. I'm usually the one that gives them lower ratings.
well, here's the thing of that, Alan. I hear where you're coming from because
Yeah.
there are things that okay,
There's potential.
right. I see the potential of it too. It's just like all that potential. Some of the potential could have been like from the behind the camera standpoint, them grilling them, no matter because really, when you're seeing this happen, are you going to give a shit about a waiver?
No, and when things come close to when things come close to or over the line of kidnapping or holding someone against their will, that waiver is
I'll give
bull crap.
I'll give you an example at that Three Rivers Haunted Fest. When I went to that thing, there was a guy down in the basement of fucking Three Rivers Stadium. Come out the coffins,
Oh yeah.
and I fucking hugged the guy, and he's like, "Get the."
Not the intended effect, obviously.
No. But is there anything anybody wants to add before we go?
No. I think I'll probably take tomorrow night off. If you guys want to do something, that's cool. But I think I'm going to need it off because I've been doing double shows every day, and my brain is kind of mush right now. So I probably need to take a day, and maybe start back up on Monday or whatever you guys decide to do.
Yeah, I'm cool with starting back up on Monday.
Yeah, we'll start back. It'll be Gordon's turn when we come back. Then Alan's turn.
Okay. Well, why don't I make my selection now?
Okay.
Okay. And I don't care if we've seen this before. I think it's worth re-seeing.
Sure.
American Werewolf in London.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it is definitely worth. I'm cool at redoing that for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're dealing with. We're a Halloween.
Great fucking.
Yeah, it is.
Link to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page and website is going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel. Colin's Port After Dark will be in the description box. Link to Daniel Culver's YouTube channel, Magic Devil, will be in the description box. And link to our buddy Patrick McRae's Dark Shadows, Daybrook and Down will be in the description box. Patrick, buddy, we love you, dude. You're awesome.
Yeah. Sorry we missed you tonight.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys Monday.
Yep. See you on Monday.